uptown, so I'm cocky as a bitch. And ain't a motherfucker go stop me up in this bitch. Yeah. 4 block, baby, uptown. S-Class, the beat creators. The almighty UAMG, 48 laws of powder. Uptown radio, baby, tune in, though, then, though.
The METHOD Lab.
Do you look to maximize your exposure on digital platforms? Are you a creative or business looking to increase your subscribers and client base? HiddenHeartRadio.com is the platform for you. Take advantage of our March Madness sale. Get 60 commercial ads for $200. Advertise your brand. For all your advertising needs, from the pulse of the city, HiddenHeartRadio.com. For more information or to get involved, call 414-502-7808. That number again is 414-502-7808. Yes. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Method Lab. The METHOD Lab. All right, so we are here. Hump Day Chronicles Wednesday. Wednesday. We are here at the middle, at the peak of the week, which technically isn't the peak of the week, because the peak of the week is Thursday, because there's 7 days in the week. 3 ahead, 3 behind, 1 in the middle.
Well, is that a week or a weekend?
Conspiracy History Thursday, here we come.
Which, by the way, I hate spelling the word Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
Because it's wedded instead.
Wedded in days, whatever.
Absolutely loathe having to spell that word.
Yeah, me too, man.
That's just one of the words. Whenever it came across to like spell that word out, I always second guess myself.
It's the only fucking word that is like that. Wednesday.
Wedded Wednesday.
What it is day.
What it is day. It's really what it is.
What it is day.
That's what today is. What it is.
What it
day.
is day. Like, do we continue or do we just halt production?
Right.
What it is day.
What it is day.
Man, welcome everybody joining into the show. Make sure you call 414-502-9447. That's 414-502-9447. Hit us up in the messenger. Join us in on the conversation. Go to hiddenheartradio.com. We are radio you can watch there. You can find all of our content throughout the week. Tune in. We have a slew of shows, and I'll run through it today. Loathe, soothe, Wednesdays. Starting off our days, Mondays with the Wake Your Ass Up show at 8 a.m., followed by the morning shift at 10 a.m. with Gotti and Zaire, with the uninterrupted, unapologetic, unfiltered first hour of the show here on Facebook platform. So make sure you check that out, followed by us, The Method Lab, here from 2 to 4 every single day, Monday through Friday. So make sure you check us out. Followed by Fire in the Streets with OG Gotti, where you get the latest and greatest music coming straight to our inbox from the industry to your speakers. So make sure you tune in for that. And you ain't gonna find a better hype man than OG Gotti in this motherfucker. So on that note, tune in. Let me see, where should I go? Tuesdays for To Be or Not to Be. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday nights from 7 to 8:30, where we go over relationship advice, relationship topics, the do's and don'ts, or the could be's and could nots, the regrets and the woof. The woofs. Those are very important. The woofs. Damn, I dodged one. So get rid of all your toxic traits. Join us in the conversations on Tuesdays. That is hosted by Mace Marchi and Joanna, and I am your moderator for that. So I run the boards and I lead the conversation. So come hear me blabber about relationships. Any and everything. Whatever your heart desires and whatever your taste is. So check that out on Tuesdays, and make sure you tune in Monday and Wednesdays from 7 to 9 for the Craig McNeil Mix Show, where we go over interviews and giveaways and just hot mixes for your entertainment. Come tune in. That is Craig McNeil and his co-hosts, depending on who's here, guest DJs, DJ Tone is in the mix all the time. That man is a ball of energy, to say the least. Also, tune in Wednesdays and Thursdays for Caesar in the Comfort Zone. We have Throwback Thursdays and Way Back Wednesdays. So make sure you check out those playlists. And every Friday night, don't forget, every Friday night before you hit the club at 9 p.m., we have the Hitting Hard Mix Show, where we have the dopest mixes to get you moving and grooving into your weekend. So outside of that, Sundays at 8 p.m., make sure you tune in for Stickman and his show, his EDM show, every Sunday. Latest and greatest EDM music. If that's what you're into, that's what we got. Like I said, we have that flavor for your every single day of the week. So make sure you tune in, bookmark the site, hittinghardradio.com. You don't want to miss it. Also, if you are a business, an entrepreneur, you are an author, you are a writer, you are a person that has an event coming up, you have an open house, you have a divorce you want to celebrate, take advantage of our March Madness, our special we got going on for March, where we have 60 commercial spots for $200. You ain't going to find that anywhere else. We have over 80,000 weekly listeners worldwide, nationwide, here in the state. So whatever your demographic is, if you are an author looking to sell your books and get to that #1 spot on Amazon, well, guess what? This is a platform for you. If you're somebody that's ambitious and has a new fire mixtape coming down the pipe, guess what? We have 80,000 people you can reach out. That's 80,000 streams on any platform that you put yourself on. So, it only makes sense. And if it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense. So don't cut yourself short. Hit us up at 502-7808. Right? 414-502-7808 for more information and how to sign up for that. If you are in any video needs or marketing needs, hit us up at that number as well. We can set up a package for you and get you going in the direction of your future. And on that note, thank you to all the groups that share and allow us to share and support us and give us a platform to put our show and our content on a daily basis. We appreciate you and everybody that's tuned in and that tunes in across the platforms, whether it's Twitch, Facebook, the website, wherever you share us, we're there for you. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. And on that note, let's pay some bills. Shouts out to Balanzi from London for the gifts and for the opportunity to sponsor the show and sponsor us with gifts. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate the opportunity, and to all the other companies that are starting to hit us up on our Instagram and social media platforms, wanting to hop on the train of sponsoring the meth heads here at the Method Lab. We appreciate you guys. We'll be contacting you and responding to you here soon. So again, if you are a brand ambassador or you have a product that you would like to showcase on the show, whether it's this show or any of our other shows, make sure you contact us at 414-502-7808. That's right. Anything else? Did I miss anything? No, that went pretty smooth. All right. So,
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to everybody. We got Dwamel back in the house.
Wednesday.
Let me give you guys one of these. What did it end, Zay?
Hey, do I gotta just say Balenzi one time to
Balenzi.
get a chain?
Well,
Right.
yeah.
Balenzi.
Balenzi.
Is it like Candyman, you know?
Right?
Balenzi.
If you say Balenzi in the mirror 5
Balenzi.
times,
Yeah.
the jury just automatically just ships to your house.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to my jewelry.
Yeah.
So, Balenzi.
It's gonna be dope.
For
And
sure.
honestly, the feedback for the necklace pieces has been overwhelming. To the point where obviously, we talked about yesterday doing the giveaway.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do, 2 giveaways and stuff for next week Tuesday.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna extend another week. That way we get more and more people involved because there's obviously a lot of people. There's a lot of interest in trying to compete for this. And obviously we believe in being fair. We believe in everybody getting a shot at this. So obviously spreading from word of mouth does its due diligence. However, a flyer or two, maybe a visual, 2 weeks of letting people know when we're going to give it away and what we're giving away will help out a lot. Especially not for us, but mostly for the people who want a chance, shot at winning.
Yeah.
So we want to make it an event, make an event out of it. Let's do something fun. So we're gonna, we want to do something nice. Maybe make it a telethon out of it.
Telethon.
Maybe tuxedo T-shirts or some shit, and come in here and pop wine and be, all right, we need a third 1,300 caller, folks.
Telethon, was that what it was called?
Yeah,
Telethon, yeah.
Take it back in the day, like old school, and they wore the tuxedos and they had like
The cigarettes.
the cigarettes and stuff, or cigars or whatever the fuck they were doing back in the day. And they fucking sit there. All right, folks, we're going to the boards. And what we got?
Right.
And we,
Proceeds go to Lil Timmy. Lil Timmy got stuck on the fence.
Little Timmy got his gourd stuck on a fucking fence. Chain link fence.
Split his nuts on the fence.
That is the worst feeling ever. Not that I've ever had it, but
I can only imagine.
right. There was I saw an interview with filmmaker Guillermo del Toro, and they were talking to him about his films and like how he's always had like this knack for any of his films. There's always like someone that gets hurt in like the most random of places. Like a guy got shot in his cheek and he spent like the rest of the movie not fit like in real life, but his character spent most of the time with a hole in his cheek. And they created so much emphasis on it, you're just like, wow, that's great attention to detail. But he says in his films, he always tries to take one of the main integral characters, whether it's an antagonist or a protagonist, and give them like a really uncomfortable wound. Because when he was younger, he did some housework, and he had to be like on a rooftop with a ladder and stuff, and he actually accidentally fell off.
He needs to be up front. He's Mexican,
No.
and he was doing roofs
No.
with Aka.
Right.
No. Here's why I say this. Here's why I say this.
Is this mine? Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's yours. Because when he fell off, you know how they have those fences with the spears and stuff?
Yeah.
Either him or someone he knew fell off and caught one of those spears in the armpit. And he said, watching that happen, it jarred him, but he never forgot it. So when it came time for like filmmaking and stuff, that was always something he could call back to. Watching that, seeing what that looked like, and seeing like the overall discomfort of it. So he always incorporates in his films when there's like a main point to prove or some type of obstacle, will always include like a random wound. So that's one thing when it comes to Guillermo del Toro, you never know. Someone could like get a tongue cut off or a hand bent backwards and they got to finish the movie just chicken winged out and shit. Because he knows the discomfort of that. He knows what that does to people mentally, physically, psychologically as they're seeing it. Like, okay, now how are you gonna fix this shit?
Yeah.
Or how are you gonna take over the world now with a spear sticking out your armpit? Like, it's just like that type of shit psychologically does something to you. And I was just like, wow. You gotta be a special kind of sick motherfucker to keep that shit in your
and
mind.
it makes you not forget either.
Yeah, like I don't think I would ever forget that either if I saw somebody.
Hell no. Harpoon themselves.
Right.
Oh, in the armpit?
Yeah.
Oh my God! As soon as he said, I was just like this for like 2 hours straight. Like
It's better than getting fucking caught in your nuts. Or like that's one thing I can't stand. Nut shots, like skateboard videos, breaks and nut shots are one thing that I can't. I can't.
I can watch it. It's almost like pimple popping to me. Like I can watch pimple popping, and I'm like, this is so nasty, but I'm gonna keep watching it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when I see a break. I'm like, ooh. You
Not
get
for
that
me.
feeling in like in your chest.
Yeah.
Like it just happened to you. But I still watch it. I don't know what it is.
It's
I
an
don't know.
instant for me. Like when you see somebody feet go back, like when that guy jumped off the ring and his feet went forward and back. And forward and back.
Fuck that.
The first time I saw
I know
that
what that
shit,
feels like, so
yeah.
I'm like, fuck that shit.
Like seeing that shit was just like, oh, because you know it's not supposed to go that way.
Yeah.
But like, it depends on the break itself. Because like, the messier, the more I'm looking away.
Yeah.
But when you see it just bend, and it's all in one place.
Right.
It's all connected. There's nothing poking out. But it's literally like slinky meat.
Right.
It's just like, doing
Like I
this
can
shit.
do
I'm
like
just like, oh.
I can't do breaks and like accidents like that, but I can do gory shit. Like fucking cartel videos or like fucking accident videos where there's like fucking body pieces and shit everywhere. Like people fucking smashed in cars. Like that shit, it makes me cringe, but I can stomach it more than seeing somebody break their shit. Like that shit just
Like
ugh.
bone going through your skin.
Yeah, like that shit, like afterwards, like after I see it, after it happened, I can see it and be like, okay, that's fucking nuts, you know? But see it happen, hell no. That shit, probably because I've experienced it and I know what it feels like to go through the process of breaking shit, but, nah.
I think some people, when it comes to like videos or even seeing things remotely close to discomfort like that, you have like a threshold of things that are normalized to you where you're able to sit through it, and then there are other things like it's unknown. So like you're anticipating what you think is gonna happen, and when it happens, you cringe anyway because it's not something you normalize, it's not something you really prepare yourself like, okay, if this happens, I'm gonna feel like this.
Yeah.
If I'm breaking my foot, I know for a fact I'm going to lay there. I may not scream or I may not feel it at first, but I'm going to lay there. And I'm pretty much gonna treat it like I got an open stomach wound.
Well,
That's done.
what you usually say or what I said was, you look down at your foot and you're like, yeah, that's not the way it's supposed to be facing.
Yeah,
That's
like,
not. It's going the other way. That is not supposed to be facing that way.
Are you guys the type of people that like if you see somebody throw up, you have to throw up, or
No.
can you see,
No.
or even like with gory stuff, like if you physically saw somebody break something, you know how people they see things and they're like, ooh, ooh, they
No,
gotta throw
my
up.
nuts hurt. Like
yeah,
like when you
okay.
get kicked in the nuts or slapped in the nuts,
Yeah.
like you get that like real deep
Yeah.
pit of the stomach.
yeah.
Like that's what I get. Like when it's like something cringy or something like that.
Seeing people get their shit like bashed or pushed in doesn't like make me want to throw up or anything like that. It makes me look away and wince, but it doesn't make me throw up. The smell of vomit makes me want to throw up. Like especially if it's like pure, like alcoholic wapatui type of shit. Like you've ingested so much shit.
before they put the kitty litter down.
Yeah, it's just like, that smell comes through. It's like, oh god, that lingers. then that makes me want to throw up. But like I've seen people get, like I just saw a video over the weekend where I think a guy was getting robbed at his house, and he went to his door. They pulled him outside, and his girlfriend was inside. And they closed the door. She closed the door behind him, and they was telling him, they had him at gunpoint. And they was telling him to get on the phone and bring money outside. And of course, they shot him in the leg and stuff, and they was, had him at gunpoint, and she's, bagging her money, and she tosses it out to him, and they killed him right there in broad daylight, right outside of his house. And it had to be like somewhere down south because it looked like they had like acres of land and stuff, but it was just like, whoa,
Did they ride in horses? Did they ride up on horses?
Right.
I was trying to figure out like how did they even get there because it was so much distance between
Yeah.
the main street and then the field to the front door. So I'm like, the fuck, and the camera's on them, so it sees everything. So they did it in front of the security camera. So I'm just like, wow. And there's people driving in traffic. You see some cars drive past. You see some stop and then bag up. Like, yep, I see some shit going on. I'm getting out of this street. So they were just fucking, it was just people just, minding their own business and stuff. But it was just nuts to me. And I was like, damn. And then they killed this guy, bro. They, like, shot him up. After they got the money and stuff, they shot him up and left him there. And they went running across the acres to the road. It was just like, where the fuck are y'all going? We see you.
To the gas station.
Right, we see everything.
Going to the gas station to put some petrol.
But even then, it's like the gas station looks like at least like 10 miles that way.
Well, that's where they left their car.
It's like, who the fuck? Because I thought the same thing. Like, did y'all ride on horseback? Did y'all piggyback to this motherfucking place? Like, what made y'all come all the way the fuck out here where there's really no main road? Like, there's no sidewalk. Like, you literally have to drive off the road up to the house to get there. And they ran.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They ran with automatic weapons and everything.
It's a wild world to live in.
We're back to the Wild West, man. That's what I really feel like. I know I say it and it always comes off as a joke, but I literally feel like the way we operate and function, it's like we remember history for all the wrong reasons and we try to repeat it. Like we'll repeat the 80s for the look and the fashion, like the texture of it. Or we'll go with the 90s because of the attitude of it, the feeling of it. Or the 70s because of the look and, the idea. Like, there's always something we'll go back to and bring back and say, that wasn't such a bad idea. It wasn't such a bad time. And it's just a matter of time because now you see people, tending to get a little lawless with the shit because, there's not a lot of police around. People defunded the police. So now, with the President Biden, jumping up and saying, we got to fund the police. Let's fund them. Let's get them that money. And trailing off and shit like he did. Now, they're trying to encourage people to put money back into the police, which wasn't like they took all the money out. They just said, just stop.
Just stop paying the cops.
Yeah, they was just,
Pay everybody above.
It wasn't even that they
Don't
stopped
pay the
paying
cops.
What they were doing was just like, you motherfuckers lay low. It's like one of those things where like, you have enough complaints and like, when they take teachers and put them on like administrative leave or they tell them, we're going to reassign you and just do this and stay out of trouble. That's what I feel like happened for the most part. Like, look, dial it back some. Don't do all the shit we normally were doing. Just we're taking back responsibilities and shit. Just do this. Just patrol.
How mad were they when they put the bulletin on the board? No more beating women and children.
Oh man.
Keep it straight to minorities and full healthy men.
The fact that they went this long, and it wasn't like they were all clean. They were still getting into shit.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that they went this long of just telling them, don't do shit.
Yeah.
Just don't.
I'm just getting it out of my system because I was just given the memo that on the 14th I'm going to be doing the interview with the police chief. So I'm going to have to be asking him the tough questions, like how many donuts does he have in the morning?
What's his favorite donut shop?
What's his favorite donut shop?
Cranky Owls or Greeby's?
Right.
Speedway.
He's going to be like vending machine.
Right.
Fifth floor vending machine. Hostess.
If you had a choice between chasing the Kia boy or beating up an unarmed black man, which one are you going for on Sunday afternoon?
I would beat the unarmed black guy with the Kia boy and then drive off in the Kia.
I'd take a Kia boy and beat unarmed black man to death with him. The actual Kia boy.
Exactly. All 98 pounds of the little freshman.
I chew bubble gum and say, that's how I'm rocking in 2022. Vote for me.
It's got to be rough being a black man in the most segregated city in the nation. Being the black police chief.
It's fucked up just being a minority and coming into any situation.
Wait, an actual black Because we had a black police chief.
Yeah, he's still the police chief.
Oh, I was thinking about the sheriff. Never mind.
Yeah. Sheriff Clark.
Oh,
Yeah.
Those are big shoes and shit and fill in. The fact that anyone, minority-wise, coming in as a police chief to any police situation after pretty much the years that they've had, because you got to look at it from 2018 to now. Being a cop has been probably one of the worst professions to have, popular-wise.
Nationwide, yeah.
Like it's probably you have one of the most hated positions in the country.
I blame the fact that our MPD stopped giving away Brewers cards. That's when it all went wrong.
Said Brewers cards?
Yeah, remember they used to give away the Milwaukee Brewers baseball cards? No.
Yeah,
you gave my black ass.
You used to be able to walk up to him and
silent. Give my black ass with the right to remain silent.
Can I get a get down?
Right.
Get down.
I like baseball. Right. Shut your black ass.
You stick to basketball and foosball.
I said I never had a Brewers card.
That's funny.
I never knew they even did that.
I started watching last night a show that they got on HBO. I forget what the name of it is, but it's based. It's like a mockumentary, more documentary, kind of with a funny twist to it, on how Gary Buss bought the Lakers and the Magic Johnson.
I just started watching that today and I fell asleep.
Seeing how it was back then and how openly racist people were is just fucking not hilarious, but it's so fucking like jaw dropping that. You gotta find the humor in it.
It's the truth. When you really look at it, when you look at that time period, like that was probably one of the that was coming off the biggest basketball college championship game, like the most watched. Like you had Larry Bird and his Indiana team with, the Spartans of Michigan and Magic Johnson. And these were like two of the best in the country, in the world at basketball. And you can't deny it. Everybody that was black that even remotely even watched college basketball or even was a fan of Eastern Michigan rode with Magic Johnson. But if you were a fan of basketball and you liked seeing white players really go out there and do it, you were fucking with Larry Bird. He was the truth. It's like a white Kevin Durant, but he could hold defense. And he could play any position. And then you had Magic, who was just
6'9", 6'10", point guard. Yeah,
he could do anything. It was LeBron, but it was more laid back and real swaggy. So it was like there was nothing like it. There was no players like it, and the NBA was not even popular at all. This was like when they had that movie Semi-Pro. When they were talking with Will Ferrell and doing the "Love Me Sexy," that is that era. That's what they were walking into, which is crazy because that's probably like one of the funnest times to even be a basketball player because it was like no regulation, there was no expectation for you to be a role model. Like you could literally go and sleep with the fucking players' wives, and they was just like, "Hey man, keep that on the low." Don't tell nobody else. Hell, half the time they passed them around, but it was just the fact that it was such a unpopular thing to do, be in the NBA. You got paid, but it was just like, it's no football.
Yeah.
But it'll do. So it was just like, it's a wild time. And then for them, they could be that openly racist. Like when they actually had a moment in there where a young Magic Johnson meets a young Donald Sterling, which I thought was very funny because they made sure to show the irony in everything, with Jeannie getting interviewed by Gary if she wanted to work with the Lakers, and Magic talking about how he sees him coming to the league and just keep a smile on, man. They let me do anything I want. He was not lying. That was the NBA for real. That's weird. It's like he the first black dude to smile in the basketball. That's strange to me. Like nobody.
Yeah.
But then you look at Kareem. Kareem was like, "Fuck off, kid." Like, fuck y'all. Fucking Will Chamberlain setting his dick on people's shoulders and shit. Like they were rude as hell. Like, damn, I can't imagine what it would be like to be a basketball player back then.
Yeah, I think even like early 2000s, was still kind of. I think there's a lot of. It's cool to see like. So I watch a lot of like sport podcasts, and it's cool to hear like Matt Barnes and JJ Redick. Like they have their own podcast now to talk about like stuff that was going on back then. Because I remember I was listening to the JJ Redick podcast, and he was talking about how he had Matt Barnes. He was interviewing Matt Barnes, and they were talking about the time that Matt Barnes was a Golden State Warrior. The first time, not the second time when he won the championship with like Baron Davis, Don Nelson, that team. I forgot what that name of that team was, but how they would just smoke weed after games, and how they would smoke weed in the locker rooms, and how there was a series that they won the playoffs, and they went back to Don Nelson's, like Steven Jackson lived in a condo and Don Nelson lived above him, and how they went up to Don Nelson's house, and Don Nelson was like, Woody Harrelson's in the back rolling up doobies after they won like a playoff series against the Dallas Mavericks. So like there's so many like stuff that you don't know about, but you have these players now that are talking about it so freely, and it's like, oh, I would have never have thought that they were actually doing that. You look at like athletes and think that they don't smoke weed, they don't drink, they don't do these things because they're athletes and they got to keep their bodies right. But they're just regular people.
Yeah. And honestly, once you're done with practice, you got to function throughout the day.
It's just like anything, though. It's just like us as professionals. Yeah. Like once you're off the clock, you fall back to your tendencies. You fall back to your vices. Right. You know, so
you take the hat off.
You have those like a Kobe that is on point, ready to go, like fucking on call firefighter, always ready for the call. You know, but then you have your Matt Barnes, you have your other players that are, as soon as the game's over, they want to go hop on the PlayStation. They want to go and fuck off, and they want to go to the club, and they want to go do their yay. They want to go fucking, you know, do whatever the fuck they're into, you know. So it's just like anybody else.
It's like a young person with that much time and opportunity, but they got the resources to go and do a lot of things that none of us could really do. Because if you think about it, like, okay, we have our off days where we do our jobs, we do our due diligence here, or, you know, we do our things outside of here, whether it's real estate, working, and production and marketing and stuff like that, management. As soon as we have an off day, we're going to go with whatever means and opportunities we have in front of us, whether it's, you know, I think today's a great day to go to the spa, get a massage, get a rub down. Or, you know what, today's a good day, I'm going to hit the gym, or probably, you know, go do something fun like indoor rock climbing or something like that. These guys, they got, even a bench player has the resources to hop up and just go do a skydiving retreat right now.
Anytime.
You know what I'm saying? They can hop up and go on a flight to fucking Atlantic City.
Right.
Just right after practice, just like, I can fly to Atlantic City, I guess I could be back before, you know, curfew, before bedtime, and, you know, still make a day of it. They can do whatever they want and have that type of experience. And the beauty of it is they have the anonymity, because no one, I can't say no one, but not everyone is out there to just say, ooh, look at this. You know, they were so-and-so. They were over here doing this, that, and the third, unless it's really salacious and juicy. You know, like, if you're Lamar Odom at a bunny ranch, everybody gonna talk about that shit.
Yeah, because he almost died there.
Right. But
on a daily basis.
Right. But if you're Tristan Thompson and you just happen to be in Atlantic City, you know, smashing a chick, nobody cares unless you're with a Kardashian.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like it's almost dangerous. It's almost more dangerous. Because especially as an athlete, and you see, like, you know, you see how people are in certain areas where they see, oh, you play in the NBA, you got some money.
Yeah.
You know, then it becomes, you know, a matter of watching where you are in your surroundings, because, you know, you got players in California that, you know, they're there, they go there, they, you know, whether they play for the Clippers or the Lakers or whoever, but they can't go everywhere like that because of the fact LA is so riddled with crime right now and a lack of police.
Oh, the gang activity.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, even the robberies, like, alone, like, they will catch you out there and get you. In Texas, they'll get you out there and get you. Like, I just seen it was a condo area in Texas, like a whole apartment condo complex. They stripped all the vehicles in the parking lot of their tires. Took rims, wheels, everything. Had them shit sitting on their axles.
Dang.
A whole parking lot full of vehicles. And it wasn't like all Kias and Hyundai. These were all kinds of vehicles. Trucks, vans, cars. It didn't even matter. None of them had wheels. None of them had wheels.
That's crazy, man. Lawlessness goes a long way. At least in today's society, it seems like. You know, it's like you try to do shit right, but it just seems like those that are just willing to take the risk are more, you know, more prone to get where they need to get to, you know, without repercussions for the most part. You know, there's you look at, like we were making fun of the Kia boys earlier. It's like them motherfuckers are zipping and going and coming and go like throughout the whole city, and it seems like it's okay. Well, that's what we're known for, so let's keep it going. Recruit. All right, what are we gonna do today, news crew? Well, let's report on the Kia boys. Let's where do they meet? What are the benefits?
But
You
when you look at it, it's kind of like when we sit there and we say, like, how can something like this become as big as it has? Like, how is it that we are able to have a Kia boy group, a Hyundai boy group, a Honda group, a Buick boy group? Well, how are we able to have these groups?
You're still pushing that there's a Buick group.
There is a Buick group that's out there bashing through red lights. Watch yourselves. They're on the west side. They don't play that shit. But no.
Buick Regals, like
All of them. All Buicks. All
Buicks.
Buicks. Any Buick was up.
Rendezvous, yeah.
All of them. As long as they got a good Buick frame, they're plowing through everything. But no, like having those groups, and obviously, you know, when you have police which are, you know, like I said, going through financial, you know, restructuring, it almost benefits, like one of the best things that probably ever happened to the police was the fact that there was a Kia boys, a Honda boys, like all that shit, because as that shit is going on and they're not allowed to chase nobody, they had to sit back and make the people just deal with it. Like, look, we can't afford to chase these people. We can't afford to, you know, shoot or beat anybody. We can't afford to fucking get in trouble. You know, all these lawsuits and shit, we can't afford that shit.
Yeah.
So either protect your cars better or we'll do our best.
Yeah, they were weren't they giving out like wheel locks for free or like
wheel locks and then 2 free COVID tests.
Yeah.
That's
COVID shots.
COVID shots. The shot.
Like
Get shot or get the
shot,
COVID shot.
Right, you know? Like they was doing all that shit, and it's, in a way, it's very smart because they could have attacked this shit right at the beginning, but everyone wanted them to chill the fuck out. They wanted them to stop. They wanted them to slow down. They wanted them to, you know, be defunded. And I don't really believe they were totally defunded, but I think they had to dial it back to the point where it was like, okay, they don't want us to do anything. We're not gonna do anything.
Bro, I seen a state trooper pull somebody over today on 35th and Burnham. So that kind of, I was like, dang, where are the city cops at? Like, are now the state troopers patrolling these streets?
Yeah, they got city cops are working at Family Dollar.
Right.
Straight up, they
Dollar General on Mitchell.
They doing second shift at Bed Bath & Beyond. Like,
Right.
we got the bath mats just came in.
Yeah, district working the door.
They're fucked up. They doing fucking morning huddles and shit. Just want to put it out there on the bulletin. We got a serial rapist in the area. Shit, I forgot where I am. I'm sorry. Bath mats. That's what I want to talk about. The bath mats just came in. Don't discount the serial rapist though. Walking packs. But these bath mats. Let's get to the business. But no, like they had to do all of this shit. And meanwhile, everyone is in a fucking fist. What are we gonna do about this? What are we gonna do about that? And the police just like, man,
we ain't gonna do shit.
You do it. Right. You don't want us to do shit.
And that's the paradox that we find ourselves in, where
I think that was the plan.
Well, yeah, but it's still a paradox because people want certain services. You know, they want certain services. They expect certain things, but they don't want what comes with it as well. You know, like obviously you want good cops, you want You don't want all of those extra shit that they bring along, you know, the beatings and pulling people over for no reason and intimidation and robbing people. Because I've heard that too, where motherfuckers will come up on somebody and they know they have money and they'll confiscate it and keep it and make them run hoops until they can't, you know, get their shit back because it's such a litigation to get to it, you know, like. But that it's a paradox because as a civilian is like, well, where the fuck do you fall? Where do you stand? You know, it's like you want to demand justice and you want the service and what the police provides, but you don't want none of the fucking headaches. So, like, how do you complain? Where is that middle ground to where you can get what you pay for? You know. Like, obviously, if you live in a good neighborhood, you know, and you have a good social standing and a good neighborhood that you go home to, chances of being, you know, running into that bad part of it are slim to none. Unless you are out there and it just happens to be your day. You know, as opposed to somebody that lives in the inner city, is the flip-flop. The chances of you having some cop run up on you and harass you because you're just an inner city person living about in the community that you happen to live in, you know, now, you know, where is that balance? Where is that accountability? You know, because you can't complain and want at the same time and expect to get what you want, you know.
I think it falls back into, it's almost kind of like it falls back into the whole argument over the Black Lives Matter thing, because someone taking a statement and saying, you know, just a simple statement, Black Lives Matter. And it became such a debate. It was like, well, what about these other lives?
Right.
It's like, what? We're talking about literally something that's happening to a central group and acknowledging that something is happening. And then now you have all these outside people saying, well, if you don't feel like Black Lives Matter, obviously no lives matter. So why are we even helping anyone? And it becomes like, I just asked a simple question. It's like when you it's almost like when you're trying to ask the cops and say a different example. Let's say you're in a relationship and you're in a relationship with somebody and they depend on them for certain things. Like, obviously I'm working, I provide, you know, half of the bills, and all I ask in return is that, you know, with most of the time that you have here at home, just help me out with stuff around the house, you know, just as far as like the cleaning, you know, manage money or whatever. And then I come home, money is mismanaged, the house is on fire, and you're just standing there and you're watching TV in what looks like a smoldered house. Okay, what the fuck happened? Oh, shit just happens. It gets out of hand. It just goes with the territory. Okay, can we prevent this from happening? Well, Jesus, man, I mean, goddamn, what more do you fucking want me to do? I'm fucking helping you out. Okay, well, obviously, you got a problem with the way I'm doing things. You just figure it out yourself. So now I got to fucking figure out how to manage with this smoldering house, and I'm going to them and say, hey, you going to do something about it? Well, no, because obviously you feel like your money doesn't matter in my hands, so just, you know, tend to it yourself. And it's just simple shit that you can really do, but it's a power play. I need to do this duty, but I want to do it the way I want to do it. I want to do it the way that makes sense to me and my organization. Yes, it is wrong for me to intimidate you and extort you and do all this other extra stuff that we do. But that's how I get the job done. And unfortunately, it's against you. Now, I could turn this off. I could, and I should. Am I going to? Probably not. Because the person in charge of me and the person in charge of them and the person in charge of them relies on it that way. That's the way payments are set. See, people forget. Cops, law enforcement in general, was started under corruption. Everything that gets started in this country, anything that gets started, any organization, whether it's government, law enforcement, even fucking Planned Parenthood, was started in corruption. Just no matter what, it's always going to have a corrupted beginning. Where they go from there is totally on them. But if you're going to take that stance and say, I don't like the way you're doing things, you got to stand on it and then have a solution in place. If people were so upset with the way police were doing things and they wanted to defund them, then what should have happened was now you create your own. That was the perfect time for you to step up and say, okay, there's some new Panthers come up, or we're going to call ourselves the Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? And just start coming up with your own solution of policing
Start
the
a
neighborhood.
neighborhood watch party.
They could have did that shit, but nobody fucks with each other in the neighborhood because we're so distant. None of us want each other in our business, so the last thing we want is another group of people telling us, hey, y'all gotta stop this shit.
Yeah, Clancy over there selling eighths.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember back
I'm over here selling zips. Right. Get rid of Clancy.
Because that's how it is. You're gonna be corruptible.
Do you remember back in the day those eyes that used to be in the window?
Yeah,
the neighborhood watch.
Watch.
You know that is what is wrong with anything. You know, is the fact that people have opinions, people have ways that they want things to be fixed. It's like that everlasting meme of either the fork in the road, left or right, or the two booths. You know, okay, well, what is it? You know, you either action or something else. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what we are. That's what we are as a society. We are the epitome of that we all have our say and the way things should be, and well, if you implement my perception or my analogy or my way of thinking, then everything will be fine. Okay, well, what is it? Oh, well, why the fuck am I gonna tell you?
Right.
Or you ain't gonna do nothing with it. So why am I going? You know, it's always that. It's like everybody. It's like they say, everybody is just like assholes. Everybody has one. Opinions are just like assholes. Everyone has them. You know, like those that are actually out there implementing and doing stuff are very rare and slim to none. And out of those slim to none, half, if not 3/4 of them, are just in it for themselves and for their self-benefit. You know, you see all these politicians, local or nationwide, that are in position to make these infrastructure changes, and you have people like Juan, you know, that you can hear it and you see it in their walk and what they do, that they are willing to put in the work. But then you have people that work alongside them that they have to go and kiss, you know, and smile to, that are just there for the photo op, you know. And you can't, as a civilian, if you say anything, oh, well, you're just talking down on your own people. It's like, what do you mean that you know, that woman in office is not doing her job? How dare you fucking misogynist, you know, or vice versa. Oh, that gay man is not, you know, he's over there fucking getting checks from you know, people that are invested in him and the decisions that he makes. But how dare you fucking, you know, you homophobe? Like, how dare you criticize? Like that is the society that we live in, you know, like even with you know, with the policing issue. You know, people will say, well, how are you a black man in charge of the police department and you are not implementing or putting a stop to the Kia boys or putting a stop to the rampant violence that's going on in our community? Yeah. It's like, you're the black man. Why can't you figure it out? Right. That's what you wanted, right? You wanted somebody of color in there, right? Because that's going to be the fix. Mm-hmm. You don't want Chief Flynn because he's a white guy. Right. You know, it's like Larry said before many times that we have these conversations, and usually how it goes is that's part of the ploy. You know, always have something in front of people's eyes to divert them from actual change, because it helps out everybody that's making dollars off of other people's pain. You know, I have a friend on social media that last night he ran up on a crew of people that were they were pretty much a car full of people that were just going through the neighborhood, stopping. Everybody gets out, breaks into cars, comes in, unpacks, goes up a block, breaks out, you know, grabs a whole bunch of shit, comes back in, you know, and he followed them. He did his due diligence as a civilian, and these people shot at him, you know, and where's the uproar, you know, in the community? You know, when you see video of these people and you see who these people are, it's like, why ain't we, you know, or people of that community up in arms about it?
Right.
You know, the response as of now is like, oh my God, fucking Milwaukee. Fucking Milwaukee. What are we gonna do? Move out as soon as we can. God, the city ain't shit. But what, like you said, what about the neighborhood watch? What about those local fucking, you know, dealers or those local, you know, OGs that live in the neighborhood? You know, that according to them, they run the block from here to here and from there to there. It's mine.
Right.
We got to bring back
You
gangs.
We have them. We have them.
Well, gangs that run blocks, not
Code. The code is what's missing.
Yeah.
You know, people don't have that code anymore of you know, if shit's gonna go down in my neighborhood is because I allow it.
Right.
You know, now it's like there's nothing. Like you can go from here to the north side, from the north side here, from that block to that block. You know, there's no, and not necessarily that was a solution, but look at the violence was a lot more. It wasn't as random and it was controlled. Like you would hear about killings all the time, but it's always, oh well, that guy belonged to that, and he did that to that, and did you know, it was always a tie back. Now it's, you know, like I saw the report, one of our politicians, Sylvia Ortiz, she runs over in Silver City. She was at her family home doing a repast for one of her nephews, and was just happened. She's a smoker, so she was outside chilling on the porch, just catching some air, and someone just drove past trying to kill somebody else that was just happening to walk by her house, and she almost got shot. You know, it's like there's just this lawlessness that is our own fault. In a way. It's our own fault because we don't hold ourselves and those around us accountable. Like the Kia boys. I'm sure their parents know that they're fucking Kia boys. You know?
Right.
I'm sure.
That's if parents are even involved.
Or they're even in the household or even around.
Because in all honesty, it don't even need the parents to know. The city knows. Mm-hmm. These guys are on IG. They have social media following. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I follow them. I see the shit. I see the videos that get posted. I see the videos of people outside of Milwaukee that glorify this shit. Mm-hmm. And it's prevalent. It's public knowledge for everyone to know. The problem is everybody looks at it and says, well, that's crazy. Yeah. And it does that. No one sits there and says, oh shit, that's my nephew. Let me go holler at this dude. Yeah. You know, or that's my cousin. Let me go talk to dude real quick and see what the fuck is going on. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah, people are quick to record. Like if you seen people fighting on a busy street, everybody's gonna pull up their phones and record rather than trying to stop what was going on.
Because it's the views.
Yeah, it is all about the views for sure.
You know, and I guess the real hardline question is as a civilian, what are our abilities and responsibilities to situations going on in our neighborhood? You know, because obviously you don't want to be lawless and be the vigilante and fucking, you know, standing at the top of the fucking roof just peering, waiting for crime to happen. You know, you don't want to be that. But at what point are we responsible for policing our own community?
See,
you know,
right there. You're asking for someone to find, or asking when will we find the balance, and you hit it right there on the nail. You obviously don't want them to be all vigilante and go out there breaking backs, but you don't want them to ignore it. Mm-hmm. But see, that's the situation. That's what our generation has come to. It's either you're going to do nothing at all or you're going to do everything. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be in the middle. Like right now, the whole popular thing is anything mid is terrible. Mm. If you're minimum, like medium wage, mid, you're terrible. Mm. If you're in the middle about anything, you're terrible. If you're lukewarm, you're terrible. You're either broke or you're rich. There is no in between. That's the popular phrase they're adopted in their mind. Mm. Mind you, we believe for the longest growing up that being in the middle is okay. You're above water. Mm-hmm. You're not broke, but you ain't rich. But as long as you're not broke, you're straight.
maintaining.
You're safe.
The middle class.
Right. You're safe in the middle class. Now that middle class is looked at, people are looking at that middle class saying that's a problem. That's the problem.
They added lower middle class.
Exactly. There's too much. There's too many people in the middle class. So either we gonna be all rich or we all gonna be broke. But being in that middle class has to do so much to take care of the people who are in the lower class or in the higher class. Because if you look at it, the whole synopsis of everyone's belief now is that they've realized people in that middle class.
You break your back for the rich, and you fucking
never get nothing. You're gonna be right
compromise
there.
for the poor.
Right.
You're gonna be right there all the time.
I should get EBT in
Exactly.
the middle class. Why can't I get EBT?
Shit.
So they look at the poor and they figure, well, shit, everybody's doing something for them, and all they got to do is just figure out how to make it to the next day.
Yeah.
And then with the rich folks, it's like, well, shit, they ain't got to do shit because we doing all the work. So who wants to be in the middle? Who wants to be the fucking slave in the middle? So when we look at, like, things now, like, okay, obviously that needs to get fixed. The emphasis is no longer on, well, I'm going to call somebody and wait on it to happen. Either I'm going to break it myself or it's just going to stay broke. Either you're going to abide by what I need or just stay the fuck out of my way. Either you're going to be what I'm looking for in a soulmate or I'm just going to be celibate. Or either you're going to be what I need you to be relationship-wise because that's what I'm requiring, or I'm just going to give up and switch sides. It's always that all or nothing. Give me all or nothing.
I blame, who do we blame for that one? We're going to blame
I don't even know anymore.
John Legend. We're going to blame John Legend and his communist wife.
Right. Like, it's so weird because we got to this point, and it's weird because we used to fan off that talk, and when you look at it, it's illogical to think like that. But when you really look at it, you kind of understand, and you kind of trace back and you look at yourself like, damn, we did create this emphasis on the middle class. Like, just not even necessarily driving it that you have to be a part of it, but just our desire to be in there and stay there, to be at least among the middle class. It's almost like if you're in the middle class, I'm good. Yeah. And you get complacent with that.
You can live a good life.
You live a good life. You can struggle, but it won't be as much as someone who has nothing. You know, I got something. I don't got everything I want, but I got what I need.
I don't have the cabin up north,
right,
but I can go to the Dells every once in a while.
Chula Vista.
You know, Chula Vista. Go get the bed bugs and beyond.
Right, the bed bugs.
Right, you know what I'm saying? You'll go to your 9 to 5. You'll go and do your career thing because you know it pays you money, and you have that overall sense of feeling that I created that opportunity. I went to work. I earned that money. But what we fail to realize is there's sources and many hidden hands within our structure that allow us to do that and allow us to stay in that middle class. It's when we try to step out and say, I got ambitions to do this other thing that's going to put me in a different tier. Whoa, wait a minute. Time out, motherfucker. Time out, goddammit.
EBT, take that back. Right. Health insurance, let's take that back a little bit. Let's give you a higher premium.
Then it becomes like, who the fuck told you to be shit?
Right. You know, I watched this video the other day of this professor. He was giving a speech in regards to that. You know, in regards to the striving for more and the complacency and how it's very in tune with how they say, you know, send your kids to school if you want them to be put into a box. You know, like there's this beautiful moldy, you know, shape-shifting thing that is a child, but you send them to school and the school's job is to cube them up, cut all the edges. Like, you no longer mold to anything. This is what you are. This is what you're going to be, you know. And he was using that analogy in the perception of what we do, you know, as entrepreneurs, as people that, like you said, that want to do their own shit, you know. And he said, you know, a lot of people look down on you that make $20 an hour, $25 an hour, 35, $45 an hour. You know, they look down on, like you said, the lower class, you know, because they are comfortable with everything that they make, because it is enough to get by, enough to have a little bit more than the rest of them, you know. But he said, like, but you also have to see that it's the same thing, just in a different structure. Because if you're getting paid $20 an hour, that means that your employer is making that back and then some.
Yeah.
So while you're over there looking down on your fellow man because you have a good job and you're able to provide, your employer is laughing at you because your worth is way more because of the output that you put out. So if you're making $20 worth of an hour and you're putting out, you know, $1,000, $5,000 worth of productivity, you know, they're winning.
Yeah.
They're winning regardless whether it's just the manager or whether it's the head guy or the owner of the company. You know, once everything gets paid, like, you are technically still lower class, because what you're getting paid is not what the value of your time and effort is truly worth. You know, and everybody just went quiet. You know, he was in the classroom because everybody's like, damn, that's really fucked up to realize. Because even right now, like, we're struggling, you know, past the pandemic and getting into the new year and staying up with things, and, you know, the bills of being here, the bills of being at home, you know. So going and finding something that's secure in the $20 an hour range, a job, a regular 9-to-5 job, that sounds very appealing. It sounds very appealing. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's like, damn, if I go and implement myself into that, yeah, it'll help me get back on my feet. It'll help me catch up and stay current on things. But then again, you're putting yourself into that box where all of your ambitions, all of your time and efforts that have a greater value are now just diminished to a $20, $15 an hour gig, you know. It's like, so it's very difficult to navigate, you know, that. You know, I don't even know where we're going with this conversation in regards to, you know, policing and like our responsibilities. Yeah, but, you know, that in itself is a very rigorous and very rigorous, because you think about it a lot. You know, you think about it like, damn, am I doing the right thing? Damn, you know, is it worth it? You know, some days it is, some days it's not, some days more than others, you know, but you think about that often when you're in this line of work where you're trying to self-procure your future, you know, because, you know, the moment you stop, you can be good, but for how long? Right. You know, in the world that we live in, we live longer, but if you have an unhealthy lifestyle, if you have, you know, ailments in your family, if you have a history of this, if you have a history of that, all that is no longer guaranteed like it used to be. You know, before you put in 30, 40 years at a place and you're at least bare minimum, you're guaranteed to have a 401k. You at least had enough to survive until you died. Even if it was just, you know, ramen noodles for the rest of your life, you knew that if you didn't invest wisely, you at least had enough to die. You know, nowadays it's like, you fucking, case in example, my good friend, he has his older brother, war veteran, decorated war veteran, you know, worked for the city for, man, since he got out of the Marines, you know, was, I think, 3 years away from retirement, currently 3 years away from retirement, did everything to the books, everything right, you know. Now he is in his, I want to say, late 40s. Through his experience at war, he went and got the COVID shot, and it accelerated something that he had in his body. So he developed lung cancer. He has a whole bunch of tumors in his body, and now he's pretty much borderline hospice, you know. So he did everything right in what we're talking about, in following that outline of middle class. And now he's finding himself in a position where he can't fend for himself, where he never made it to the retirement. So now the city and the VA are giving him runarounds and trying to work the system against him to give him as minimal care as they can, without giving him reason to sue them for what he deserves. So as an example, or as somebody on the outside looking in and seeing that, is like, fuck, what do I do? What do I do now at my 36 years old? Like, do I continue trying to figure it out on my own and procure and hope that it pans out? And in the future, I have enough for retirement. I have enough for emergencies. I have enough to fend for my family, at least for fucking to pay for my own funeral. So I'm not a fucking GoFundMe person. Yeah. Or do I go find a job? Do I go put in my time? Do I go and try to reach that 401k and retirement age? And what if I don't make it? What if I don't make it? What if I get sick beforehand and I can't get the 401k? Or if I have to go into the 401k, they tax me at a rate that I lose half of it. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right. It's like finding that balance of what is the correct choice in the society. It's very difficult now. And being wherever you land, you can only imagine the implications. Like, you have to be rich.
I think, and I also think that what's important to kind of go like the whole middle class, low class, high class thing is just the education point. Because think about like the high class, what they do with their money. Mm-hmm. They invest into IRAs, they invest into life insurance, they invest into all of these things to now where, to kind of go off what you were saying, let's say something does happen, they lose their job, they have these IRAs that they can fall back on, they can pull money tax-free out of their life insurance. Mm-hmm. They can utilize their life benefits in case if anything does happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the middle class and the lower class, they don't get that education, so they don't know.
Mm-hmm. And that's because of the fact that a lot of them are denied that education because they don't want them to know. Like, for a lot of people, for a lot of people that come up, when you look at like the schooling system, there are people that are literally in public schools that to this day don't know shit about straightening out their credit, don't know shit about taking out the loans that you can, like doing a credit loan. I never learned that in high school.
Never.
I didn't learn about that until I was an adult. And to be honest, I didn't learn about that until like a few months ago. Mm-hmm.
Bro,
that's how fucked up that was.
When I turned 18 and I got those letters in the mail saying that I can get a credit card, guess what I did? Got me a credit card. And then guess what I did after that? Spent all the money on that credit card. And then I was in debt until I was like 30. You don't, like, you're right though. I mean, I don't think that in the inner city they don't I think now it's becoming more accessible to people to be like, all right, I need help. Who do I go to? Yeah. And before it was like, now everybody's like willing to give the help. Yeah. Before it was like, hush, hush. I'm not going to say nothing. Mm-hmm. We're going to keep the rich rich. We're going to not tell the lower class. We're not even going to implement it in schooling. Yeah. It was so easy to just hide those things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now with the internet, now the stuff is coming out. Now people are like, oh, well, I guess we got to change our curriculum.
So that's how you do it.
Right.
People knew about this shit for the longest, and that's why people are turning the way they are about everything mid class. It's the simple fact of, you have that 9 to 5. You're willing to do the work. But your dumb asses really let these motherfuckers play y'all out of really becoming rich.
It's out of those moves.
It's the idea of wanting to be in the middle.
And it's crazy because all of those resources in itself are targets for minorities and middle classes. Mm-hmm. You have all of those get rich quick schemes, like your insurances and your life insurance agents that'll target the minority community because they know they're miseducated. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they hear that shit and they're like, oh shit, I can save money, I can figure this shit out. Yeah, you can. Now you sign up, and now you go sign up 12 people, and then you'll be okay. You know, like that. Yeah. Those people, you know, they poach on people that are uneducated. Not necessarily that their knowledge that they're bringing to the table is not valid. Is their approach. You know, their approach. They're trying to swindle people into something that they should know. Right. You know, and it's difficult because in the city, like you will see in the inner city or in the city period, you're going to see in the schooling or whatnot, you're not going to, like you said, you're not going to get that information until somebody comes out of that and brings that back. And then after that, you might get a little bit. You know, so it's the same gentrification type of scenario where, okay, well, now your school wasn't shit, but now we switched the name of your school, or the people that are buying up your neighborhood are starting to change because you have good foundations in these houses. So now you're getting a better, more middle, upper class, you know, people that are investing into this. So now let's bring in this education, you know, as opposed to, you know, like the sciences. Or like the STEM programs. Like I guarantee you're more willing to see somebody bring a STEM program to the inner city, you know, to raise scientists, to raise kids that are interested in technology, as opposed to bringing somebody in that's going to teach them financial stability, teach them how to keep a household, teach them how to be a part of the working class, you know, like you're going to find that people are more interested in something that's going to be more long-term than something that's going to give them something of value that can trickle down into their family. Yeah. You know, so because if you have a kid coming home with a book, you know, or a pamphlet saying, well, look, this is how credit works. And mom and dad read it and like, oh, shit, I didn't know that. You know, I didn't know that. It's just like when you bring grammar home. Oh, shit. I didn't know there was fucking pronouns and predicates and adjectives and things like that. And it might not be what you ingest, but you at least heard something new. You know, it's a lot more different than you're like, okay, well, you know, this is how you write code. You're like, okay, code. Well, what the fuck am I going to do? How's that going to put food in your mouth? Right. You know, it's a very dangerous game.
But see, for us, like we look at it, we look at positions and certain things that they offer, and we say, well, that's not tangible enough to me. Mm-hmm. A young person can look at code and turn that into a 6-figure income type of gig, whereas we're looking at it and saying, well, who do I sell myself to? Yeah, they already know. Shit, I ain't got to sell myself to nobody. No. I am the person.
The person.
I'm the one. So, you know, it's that's why I say it's going to be different. We look at the future of how things are going and we say we're worried because we really don't know how our youth are going to handle this. But the thing about it is they're already handling it. They're handling it in a way that worries us because whereas we're the type of people trying to sit down and figure out solutions. They're trying to figure out solutions, but they're figuring it out in a way that's a little more faster than what we're used to. We're used to talking it out and really sitting down and saying, okay, let's look back on where this began. Yeah. We'll go to the central root.
Let's have a meeting about this. Right. Everybody, bring the donuts, bring the coffee. We're gonna sit around and we're gonna digest this shit from the top.
The youth is saying,
give me a fucking vape pen.
Not even that. The youth is saying, this is the fucking problem right here. Yeah. Let's get this out of the fucking conversation so we can focus on these things and make this stronger. Then we can realize this is a separate issue that has nothing to do with this. If we take the racism out of this situation and focus on fixing this here, then we can solve this crisis here. That is its own separate crisis, but yet it's involved in every single aspect of things that's fucking us up.
And I think we have to remove those old heads.
Yeah.
To because that's the other thing too to think about, like those old mindsets of like, oh, that's not gonna work.
Exactly.
Because then you all of a sudden like deteriorate that person's like confidence in like saying like, yeah, this is how it's gonna work. Mm-hmm. But because I'm older than you, gonna tell you like, no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, that's dead.
It's gonna take more effort from me,
right,
to catch up to you,
right.
So why am I gonna? Why?
The quickest way.
Like, I got to go fishing this weekend.
Right.
Why the fuck am I going to cancel my fishing trip to sit here and watch you be greater than me? You know, it's like
the quickest way to save themselves in that situation, especially because they're not going to teach somebody how to take their job. They're just going to say, well, here, let me show you how to lie about it. Let me show you how to sweep this shit under the rug. Or not even show you how, but I'm going to show you how to go about your day where you're sweeping this shit under the rug for me. And I ain't got to deal with it. You ain't got to deal with it. And I ain't got to worry about losing my position or my title before I'm ready to give it up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times these motherfuckers, they're looking at the shit and they're saying, yeah, you could fix the shit. But then you look at the domino effect of then so-and-so's got to work a lot harder.
And then I'm not going to be here.
And then they're going to need me. And then I got to turn in my condo. And my wife ain't trying to hear that shit.
And then, you know, and I think another thing that is a very bad trait within our demographic and those that came before us is the ability to still make the same check but not do any work. You know, that is, I think, is a very important thing, because you go to any of these old heads or these OGs that are in charge of organizations, that are in charge of programs, and realistically you have those that do work and do a lot of work, and they are pioneers in our community. But for the majority, you have a lot of these people that'll take all of these funds and not produce anything and call that a success. Yeah. You know, and that's a major problem, because you give that same amount of money to somebody that's young, somebody that's hungry, somebody that has what they're gonna do is, and you put them side by side in the same race, same opportunities, same direction, same steps. But you're going to find out that the young person's, you know, once you look at the analytics of it, that their job output is going to be twice, if not 3 times as much as the person that, okay, well, we'll get some flyers, we'll put out a news report, we'll advertise in the newspaper, we'll have one day when they can come in and they can get a free meal, you know, and that's successful. Right. There we go. We're going to go on retreat. We're going to go to dinner and talk about what we're going to do, where the young person's going to take that money. Like, okay, cool. We're going to start a campaign. We're going to start an initiative. We're going to get people to come in and walk the streets and push it. And we're going to get flyers, and we're going to go on social media, and we're going to engage. And it turns into a campaign, an actual movement, as opposed to just a fair.
Because it's literally trying to compete in somebody's wheelhouse. Like, an older head is not going to rely on the internet the way a younger person is.
Because they don't know how to use it.
They don't know how to use it. An older person sit there and say, yeah, I'll do a little digi flyer on the internet, but I'm going to hit the newspaper. I'm going to do the phone calls. I'm going to make the flyers in magazines. I'm going to do all this unnecessary shit that we've done over the last 20, 30 years.
Haven't worked.
Even though 4 of those mediums exist today. Right. And it's really 2 of them.
And I'm really just on the newspaper because I'm doing my guy a solid.
Exactly. So they're going to do all these things to try and rub elbows with all these people that they deal with, whereas a young person is not going to do all that shit because they're focused on, okay, this is my audience. My all audience is right here. Mm-hmm. That's where I need to campaign at. My focus needs to be where my people are, and this is where my people are. This dude has people, but they're scattered about, and he's so far removed, he ain't in contact with all these motherfuckers. They're on a text message, group text.
Like, what? He died?
Right.
He died?
Like, a young person already has that contact list. They got people already in place ready to do their thing, and they know they're going to get taken care of because they have that function. Cash App is one of the closest ways to pretty much booking and actually, like, garnering for help. Yeah. Like, it became all those tools, whether it's Cash App or Venmo or PayPal, makes it so much easier to have contract hired help. Just
and it's not that we're just fucking shitting on old heads. It's the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Look at Jakari Carr and his foundation. Yeah. Like he has the same 24 hours we do, and that man run circles around anything that anybody else is doing, and it's not just circles on a kiss babies, wave a hand camp. Like, he's doing actual work. You have Pastor Kenneth Locke, or Kenneth, your pastor. He's somebody that in the span of 2 years has revolutionized church in the city, and how it's presented, how it's absorbed, how it's put out there, like how it's perceived, like those type of people are what we need, so that we don't have so much gripe. We need somebody like that to be our sheriff. We need somebody like that to be our county executive. We need somebody like that to be, in charge of our schools. We don't need some old head just because they fucking graduated from a historically black college. Right. That's great. That's a great accolade. It comes with a lot of prestige and a lot of great things, but we don't need badges of honor. We need people that are engaged and actually doing the work. And until we find that, we're never gonna get rid of the Kia Boys and the segregations and all of the things that are detrimental to what we have going on in the city.
Because that's the thing. It's detrimental to the people, but the ones that are enforcing it, that's the infrastructure for which we're built on.
Keeps them busy.
That's what it is. We say it's the problem, but you got to realize that's the infrastructure for which it's
There's no room for solutions.
There's a room, but it's going to require more work than people are willing to do, because in order for you to really eliminate that, you got to tear down that infrastructure itself and build it back up. You can't start a fucking company and say, we got this here Antebellum Plantation ice cream. It's great. You got to try it. It's the best vanilla bean, and then we got the darky chocolate. And then you turn around and you say, after years and years and years, they're saying, that really sounds racist. You really shouldn't say that.
Right.
Like,
darky chocolate.
You got this darky chocolate has got to go, man. You got like a black guy in blackface holding chicken wing. And
you got baby Jesus.
So confusing to the public. Okay. Well,
change the name to the Commanders.
Commander.
Well, I'm retiring, and I got my grandson taking over, and he's gonna do things a little differently.
He likes J. Cole,
and he sits there and says, you know what? I so get what you're saying. I want to vibe with you guys. I want to make it better. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna change everything. I'm gonna rebrand it. We still have the plantation ice cream, but guess what? This time we're going to call it the Big House Ice Cream. We're going to call it the Big House Ice Cream. We're taking away that plantation name altogether. And we're gonna get rid of the darky chocolate, because I realize how offensive that is. Yeah. We're going to call it Bling Blow. We're going to call it Bling Blow. This time we got a guy in blackface with gold teeth and a chain on. Right. And he's still holding the chicken, but he's got a bowl of ice cream in the other hand. So, sweet and savory. So this new generation of people is looking at this ice cream and they're saying, okay.
That's progressive.
There's going to be some people that are going to sit there and say, well, see, they changed the name. Yeah. And then there are going to be some people that are going to sit there and say, dude, it's still the same fucked up ice cream.
It's like, what they...
I can't go to the store and go grab ice cream. This conglomerate is taking over. Yeah. There's no Dean's. There's no fucking Ben and Jerry. It's just Big House ice cream. Yeah. And I can enjoy ice cream without going to get Big House ice cream. So I gotta get this fucking tragic ass bowl of fucking stereotypes all in a container to be reminded that this is what's going on. Now I either don't rely on getting that ice cream and I fucking swear off dairy, or do I bite my lip and say, you know what?
There's some good ass fucking ice cream.
Wait.
That's the whole paradox. It's like you and when it comes to that. So when looking at like even the restriction of police, even the restriction of things and trying to take the racism out of it, that infrastructure is built on the back of this is what's going to guarantee its success, the division. Having that division, having people that say, you know what, good thing you locked those people up. And then those people say, oh, this is unfair as fuck to us. But when you have that division, you don't have a unison, a whole fucking magnitude of people that outweigh you saying this is wrong, you need to change this.
Yeah. You know, in regards to that makes it, you know, to be a devil's advocate, you know, that in itself makes it very difficult to support and be a part of a lot of these people that are out here, you know, proclaiming change, proclaiming that they're doing the good Lord's work and doing things in our community, because in itself is, like you said, they adapt that same infrastructure and adapt it to the work that they do to change. You know, at least that's how I perceive it. You know, you get a lot of those quirks where you're like, damn, I see your mission is different, but you're not going about it any way different than they do. Mm-hmm. You know, and in the end, once it's all said and done and the work is done, the only people that benefit is you and those around you. You know, like, yeah, you do work and it extends, but it's still not the solution.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very difficult for me, you know, because it's your name, it's your integrity. You know, if you put your eggs in this basket or that basket, you know, or that basket, and 2 out of those 3 baskets spoil, it's like, that looks bad on you. You know, so it's very difficult. It's very difficult either through being jaded, through what we've lived through and what we've experienced and how we've seen our culture evolve and develop through our upbringing, that, you know, you get a sour taste when people come and they tell you, oh, well, it's going to be different under me. It's going to be different if you follow me or you become a part of what I'm doing. You know, and that's very difficult within this city. You know, I don't know how it is in other cities. I'm sure it's the same shit, but.
It's like, if you think back, like, even with the whole defund the police thing, mm-hmm. if people really want to be technical, from the very jump when blacks were starting to protest, like, let's go back to Trayvon Martin. Mm-hmm. When black people started to take the protesting to that extreme, to, you know, sitting here and saying, look, we need to look at this police brutality thing a lot more extensively. Mm-hmm. None of us said anything about defunding the police. Mm-hmm. We simply said, just stop. Rethink your policy. Change the way you're policing.
Better training.
Less
force,
cops,
better training.
Quality officers.
More representation.
They took all of those suggestions and said, well, clearly you guys just want us to just take the money away. Huh? Like, is that going to help? If it's going to help, then do it. But we just want this to change. No, you want the money gone? We're taking the money away.
And I don't know if I'm just miseducated or just not well informed, but it always seems to me that those people that push for things like that, like defund the police, are people that aren't affected by the fact that the police are in their, you know, it's usually the suburban housewife or the suburban kid that comes into the inner city to hang out with their friends that are, oh, well, fuck it, defund the police. Yeah, if you defund the police in fucking bumblefuck up north, it's not going to do you much disservice, because your dad's the cop, your uncle's the sheriff, you know, your second cousin is the deputy, you know, and if you defund them or take a little bit of money out their pockets, it's really not going, because you're well off regardless. You're not in a high crime area. You're not in a, you know, outside of fucking, you know, mental issues and drug abuse. You know, you're pretty much like, now everybody, all right, well, let's go to fucking town hall and let's have a fish fry. Right. You know, and those are the people that usually come into the inner city and see what's going on because they want to be a part of something. Mm-hmm. They want to feel alive, you know, that come in and start yelling, oh, defund the police. Okay, no, I don't want you to take resources from something that we already have low resources on. I want us to go into this place and be like, yo, okay, this money isn't being used unwisely.
Right.
So let's repurpose this money into training. This money, because we have great cops in the inner city that are here patrolling Mitchell Street, patrolling our south side, engaging with the kids, engaging with the schools, engaging with the businesses that are actually putting in the work, you know, And those are funds. Why would you pull that fund to have those people put in that work in the community, as opposed to having the guy that's sitting at the precinct that's there all day, doesn't patrol, doesn't do shit, just sits in his office, drinks coffee.
I'll tell you exactly why. And this is why I say none of this shit is purely for the people. It is just, it's the same game. It's all a hustle. If I'm in a relationship with somebody and I'm with them and I have made it a habit, I take care of them. I give them a house. I give them a home. I cook for them. I clean up after them. They have no bills to pay. But occasionally I come in and I smack them around a couple times. Now, somebody's obviously going to complain and say, man, you shouldn't let them smack you around a couple like that. It's just ridiculous. You shouldn't do that. That's wrong. You shouldn't let him do that. Oh, really? So you gonna listen to these motherfuckers tell you about me? I tell you what, obviously you got a problem with the way I take care of you. So here's what. I'm done. I ain't gonna give you no money. I ain't gonna take care of no bills. Obviously, I'm in the way of you growing and becoming a peacock and flying away. So I'm gonna stop funding your shit. They never asked for that. They just said, stop hitting the motherfucker every now and then. Just, cut out the hitting and shit. Oh, no. That's the way I do business. You got to take all of me or nothing at all. That's how I roll. Same shit with this cop shit. No one asked for defunding the police, but they'll sit there and they'll say, we're going to do that anyway, because obviously that's where the problem is. But where do they defund them? In the inner city. Why? Because these are the areas in which real estate is prevalent. If you notice, police got pulled in areas that were all subject for debate when it came to real estate. Most of the areas that cops were patrolling and doing all this shit were areas that they were already trying to acquire, but people weren't trying to leave. They were trying to hold on to that shit, because as soon as people found out the gentrified downtown and everywhere around it, they were like,
all I gotta do is hold off. All I gotta do is hold off.
Exactly. Hold off, get my money up.
And there's my retirement.
Okay, now we got this issue with the police battalion. Oh, well, obviously that's an issue. Let's just pull the police out of there. So now if there's no police to patrol that area, there's no protection. There's no protection, there's nothing to keep them from jacking your shit. If there's no one there to keep them from jacking your shit, you're losing money. You start losing money, you start losing interest in being there. So you leave. You'll take whatever you can, because your family gonna get worried because they not there. But the older heads that hold on to that spot because they know what that land or that property means would hold on to it until they're obviously in an area that's too unsafe and too unpredictable to be in, where their family moves them, or they get stressed out and they have to move into a hospice, or they can't afford to be there and they have to leave and go be somewhere else. And then what happens? Come in, they buy it up. Take it for the lowest amount of dollar possible.
Also known as Walker Square, also known as Bayview,
Right.
Walker's Point, also known as Bayview.
So they're going to allow...
Also known as West Dallas.
Exactly. They're going to allow the Kia boys and the Hyundai boys and the fucking Honda boys and the Buick boys to ride through and do donuts and flip cars over and do all that shit because it brings the property value down. And the more and more it decreases, the more and more they'll be able to take that shit for pennies on the dollar and move y'all asses right off.
Have you guys ever noticed that areas that have...
That's not just here, that's everywhere.
That's everywhere. Have you guys ever noticed that areas that follow that template that you just explained always have road repairs? Mm-hmm. So right before it gets really, really, really bad, you just all of a sudden, oh, well, damn, they're redoing 53rd and Hampton.
Exactly.
Damn, they're redoing Hampton down by the park, the on-ramp and the off-ramp. Now it's a 2-lane. It used to be a 1-lane when we were growing up. It's like, why is all this being worked on, but this is the most violent, most, poverty-stricken neighborhoods? Why are specific buildings catching on fire all of a sudden? It's like, and then next thing you know, down the line, like you said, it's like, oh shit, now there's a Colectivo on Hampton.
Exactly.
Now there's a whatever. They're selling fucking crochet on fucking 34th and Hampton.
Organic tea shop.
It's like, And you know, not to beat on a dead horse, but you know, I guess as civilians, we have to realize this. And like you said at the beginning of the conversation, you're faced with the decision. You either are part of the solution full-heartedly, or you just let it be, because there's no in between. You know, once you get in between, then you're a fugazi. You're part of the problem because you can't commit one way or the other.
Right.
You know, you're either there fucking pointing out the Hyundai to steal, you know, or you're blasting at them. You know, those are the only alternatives that you got.
Yeah, the people, even now, if you're socially conscious, then you're totally about what's going on. You're of the world. You're thinking of the bigger picture. If you're not, you're totally involved with yourself. You're self-involved, and then people will adjust on how to deal with you, and that's it. They'll put you in that box, and that's it. And that's really because of, when you look at it, everything that we do evolves within the next generation. The way the grown-ups were in the 70s and 80s, for us growing up in the 80s and the 70s and stuff as kids, all of their paranoia, all of the angst, everything that they went through and embodied and endured played out through us. The whole paranoia, the I don't give a fuck, the attitude era, all of that shit was planted, grew, and evolved within us, which we were able to take that and evolve that into what we see today in the society that we've carved for ourselves. But because we've carved that for ourselves, the youth that came up underneath us have taken that and evolved their thinking to where they are now. That's why they view middle America and the medium the way they do, because they've seen us in it. They've seen us struggle in it. They've seen us complain in it. They've seen us talk about what's wrong and why we're doing this and we still can't get ahead. And they're saying there, well, why am I doing that? And there's opportunities there for me to reach and attain a lot of this stuff with ease. And they see us being too afraid to do it because we're told, oh, it'll never work. And they'll do it, and they'll break those generational curses. They'll break those mantras that we've set for ourselves and say, see, we can do it too. You can do it too. And we'll sit there, nah, this is your job. You do it.
But how do you start that conversation though? How do you get the people that want to change the lineage of the way that things are going, especially with like the youth? If there's youth that are interested in wanting to do stuff like this, how do you create that conversation without, again, the people that are stuck in their ways, that don't want to change, that feel as if what they're doing is the right thing? It's just going to take a little bit longer. You know, we still need a couple more years to get this right. But it really isn't, because we just need a couple of people to be like, all right, this is what needs to get done. And there's people that want to do stuff like that. But how do you create that conversation without those people getting offended?
For me, it's a very internal conversation. Like, it's not something that like, say, all right, I get it. Now I'm going to go get a PTA and get people and assemble people so that I can explain to them and then we all get it. I think it's a very internal, you know, situation where if you get it, you have to prepare yourself to fight that for when you see it. You know, like, say, for me, like a prime example, you know, my kid didn't grow up in the streets, grew up, you know, wherever I raised him, you know, a relatively good, you know, healthy upbringing. But if he comes up to me and say, yeah, Dad, I went by my friend's house and he's got a mic and I want to hop on it and I want to do 16 bars. You know, with my upbringing, like, oh, no, why the fuck would you want to do that? What the fuck are you going to talk about? You know, you ain't never lived that shit. You can't talk about fast cars and money because that ain't you. Like, why, you know, now in a healthy way of thinking it, like, damn, you know, and this is something I learned from Larry. Like, and damn, okay, well, be true to yourself. Go on there and spit your 16, but speak about something that you know. Be confident in what you say, because it's going to be a reflection of you. You know, that very small step and way of approaching things takes away my trauma and doesn't perpetuate it on him. You know, and I think that is the key lesson that we need to learn as, you know, as the old heads, the middle class. That's what we are. We're no longer the fresh bucks. We're not the fresh chicks. It's not our time anymore. You know, now we're in transition where it's time for the youth. You know, so we pass down our parents and our grandparents' trauma, and we pass down our trauma onto our kids. You know, and that's where I think the conversation starts, is within yourself, to not just blab shit out. Yeah. You know, to really take the time to take the scenarios that you're in to really see what you are giving out. Yeah. You know, energy-wise, conversation-wise, idea-wise, you know, because that shit matters. You know, I could take a kid that has issues in school. Oh, well, that little boy gets in fights all the time at school. Or that little boy, you know, doesn't listen in class. Well, I can be just like everybody else and be, oh, well, you're fucking bad. You little motherfucker, you better get your shit straight or you're going to be dead or in jail or this or that. Or I can go like, damn, kid, like, what's going on? What hurts you? Where does this come from? Where does this manifest from? Like, how can I help you? You know, what do you need? What don't you have? You know, who do I have to defend you from? You know, it's a completely different approach and a completely different conversation, but we have to implement that not only with the youth, with ourselves, with those that are older with us, because, you know, in the long run is like, we don't know what other people's journey has been and what their traumas have been. It's not our job to fix people, but like El always says, you know, the youth don't want to be talked down on. They want to be listened to. Right. You know, and if you don't know how to listen, then you're never going to be part of the solution. You're not. And listening doesn't necessarily have to be like, okay, today I'm this piece of shit and tomorrow I'm going to start listening to everything. You know, but it's taking those gradual steps to being aware of that, to being aware of other people's situation and assessing it. And obviously you don't waste your time on somebody that's closed-minded. But when you do have those situations when you can shut up and listen and give somebody something of value, don't let those go. You know, and really, really, really take the time to manifest that and put your energy into that, because that is true change. You know, anything else than that is just bullshit. You know, you're just beefing your ego up, trying to make yourself feel right, feel like you did something, when in reality you're just half-assing it, and instead of helping, you're confusing somebody even more. Yeah. You know,
like we've gone the distance with trying to impress our older heads because of the fact, you know, that's what they had to do. They had to impress the people older than them. And a lot of times they had to do it by figuring shit out on their own because it was so simple for them. It's like they didn't expect anything to change. Now you see us where, you know, we're still in that idea, that mindset of see me. You know what I'm saying? See where I am. See what I'm doing.
Look what I can do.
Yeah, look what I can do. And the youth is more along the lines of, I know you see it. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know if I'm doing it wrong or if I'm doing it right. And we have that habit of, you know what I'm saying, of being raised in a society where older heads didn't feel the need to come up and say
and explain or show emotion.
You know, we've adopted that, and a lot of times what we failed to realize is we're not in that space anymore. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be that. We've evolved to a space where we aren't even required to be like that anymore. We don't have to put up that front. We're not required to be these things. We're not required to sit here and act like we know everything. We're not required to sit here and have the answers automatically. Like, I see older people that will literally sit there and give you an answer to a question that you had is wrong, but they'll swear up and down that that's what it is because they don't want you to know that they don't know. And that was a popular thing. Like, even if you didn't know, you said something. if you didn't know where you were going, you still pretended like you did know where you were going. That's how you upheld yourself as a man.
It's
ridiculous to think that.
A crazy way of looking at it is like in generations. Like my grandfather, put this in like scenario. Like my grandfather taught my father how to ride a bike. But how did he teach him? By whooping his ass. Right. Oh, you fell off, you little fucking motherfucker. Get back on that shit. You better ride. You making me look bad. You know. Then my father tried teaching me how to ride a bike, but he was dealing with the trauma that his father gave him. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to figure out how to teach me. And if I don't get it, or he tries love and compassion and understanding, and I still don't get it, well, he's going to resort to what he was taught. Yep. Well, you motherfucker. You know, when I go to my kid, I either learned or didn't learn how to ride a bike. So now I am more willing to teach him. But then at the same time, I have this fear and this trauma of, well, am I going to be like my father? Am I going to get to a point where he doesn't get it? And I'm going to resort to yelling and hitting and all of these things that are no. So it's always, you know, trauma carries through life, you know, and I guess trauma is a popular word now, but it's the reality of it. You know, we're a watered down version of what we came from. Mm-hmm. You know, so we got to either continue watering it down to a point where it's right, or we continue to water it down to where it's so fucking confusing that we fuck up the next generation of people. You know, and right now I think we're in a limbo where we have a lot of youth that get it and are getting a lot of the good information that they need. And that's why we have kids like Jakari. We have kids that are doing things in the city, and not kids because they're adults now in a sense, but they're doing things and they don't have that fear because their lineage watered it down to a point where it's malleable, like they can do something with it.
Do you think that we're still a couple generations away from where more people will be more willing to understand and listen more?
I think we're already moving in a space where I won't even say many generations from now. I would say probably we're 1 to 2 generations removed away from getting rid of gas reliable cars. Mm. We're moving in a generation that's literally going to eliminate gas reliable cars, fast food, and probably even obesity. From a natural standpoint, we might be a generation away from almost even eliminating diabetes. But it's a matter of how we preserve that. Like my brother said, you know, something that I practice doing, taking those opportunities to have those conversations. And it's an honest conversation where I'm not trying to build myself up as obviously where you need to be, you need to listen to me. No, where are you right now? Fuck where I am. Fuck where you need to be. Where are you right now? You know, what's going on in your life? What are you trying to get? What are you trying to get to? Because for so much, you know, we hold on to that ego, especially when it comes to dealing with somebody that's younger than us, and we hear what they're going through, and we revolve so much into, oh, I remember what that's like, and then we go into telling them advice that we would have given somebody back in the day, and that shit don't apply to them today. They can't do nothing with that. We can't tell a kid that's going through heartbreak about how it is to be toxic. Fuck these hoes. We can't tell no kid that, like, today. A kid like that today would take that as, oh, well, fuck these hoes all in general. You know what I'm saying? All of them. You know, I can be however I want to be with them if that's the case, because they're going to evolve and take that and push it further. It's all about what is it that you want them to push further. Do you want them to be entrepreneurs? Do you want them to be unapologetic when it comes to their ambitions and to, you know what I'm saying, their courage to go out there and really swing for the fences? If we're gonna have them do that, we can't be afraid of losing our jobs to them next. Because in all general, like, not all of them are out there just to take your job. Yeah. They're there because, like, shit, I'm successful. I want you with me because I trust your opinion.
And yet again, you know, great examples is there's proof in the pudding. You know, as much of a nuisance as the Kia boys and all of these people that are doing these things in the city are, you have to look and read between the lines. Like, these are kids that are ambitious to really go out there day in and day out and pop a fucking pop a column and fucking steal a car and jump out of it and hop in another one. Like, there's ambition and drive there that is just it's not. But there's this energy that has not been cultivated into something positive, something
you don't blame Grand Theft Auto then for.
You
can't.
I blame him for teaching people how to drive in the worst way. It's probably the worst driving simulator ever. But I can't blame it. I can't blame it for that, because think about it. If Grand Theft Auto wasn't teaching kids how to drive, where else would they learn how to drive? Because obviously they weren't getting it from family. No other schools. I've looked at. There's schools I've been to, high schools I've been to in the city, where I've only seen one room, literally one room, actually dedicated to a driving simulator.
And you got to pay.
And
out the ass.
And honestly,
$300 for a class.
There used to be a time where every school had a room designated.
It was curriculum.
Driver's ed. It was curriculum. It was a part of it. I've only seen one school with a driver simulator room.
And it was fucking, what's that old Chuck E. Cheese game, California?
With the fucking thing?
With the fucking...
It was old school from
Crazy
the 70s.
Taxi.
Bro, Crazy
Taxi. With the whole film screen and everything. And literally, everything was outdated on the shit. And it was in Bayview. That was the only room I ever saw. That was the only school I ever saw that had an actual driver's ed room. And I sat down and said, damn, that's fucked up. Do they even do that anymore?
We had, at my high school, we had, I don't know if it was like police, but they would have like this little box that they would put, and they would be like, oh, sit down. Let's see how fast your reaction is to gas and stop. Yeah. That's all we had. I would always win, too.
We had one at Marshall. I know they had one in St. Francis High School when I was in school. Every high school had a room designated to it. But I remember 4 years ago, I was doing the tour of the high schools and stuff for the summer, getting them prepared for, the school year. And there was only one school that I saw with an actual driver's ed room, with driver's ed simulators. And even though they were old and outdated, they still worked, and they were still stuff where you get ping if you fucking parallel park wrong, or if you darted out and didn't see, look both ways, all that shit. So I'm just like, wow, where are they really learning this? Other than going to the DMV and then just failing their way to a license, or
fucking stealing the car and ramming it into something.
Like it's sad, because when you see the way people drive, it's all Grand Theft Auto shit. But you can't deny that's a more realistic simulator than anything that's being offered in the inner city. Because what are they gonna do? Like you said, they gotta pay. And if they ain't got the money for it, what are they gonna do?
Half these kids can't even fucking eat lunch. Yet alone pay for fucking driver's ed.
That was the thing they gave away at school. Now, not so much. So they make it harder for you to obtain the education to drive. But they definitely make it easy for your ass to get a car.
Well, I know who we're not gonna have as a guest on the show. Anybody from any school anytime soon.
Get your driver simulators up.
Lord. I said, hopefully it goes good for us with the police chief.
Well, before we go.
What is your word of the day?
My word of the day, and it's crazy that this is actually my word of the day, because I was gonna say it before we started.
Yeah.
Don't let your gift be your limitation. And that wraps this all up.
Yes.
You see how we be on
Look at that.
See the synergy here.
And I was gonna apologize to Dormel for bringing him into an episode where we rant. He's never been here for a rant episode.
No, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm listening. But yeah, don't let your gift be your limitation.
See, that's the definition of understanding the assignment.
Yes.
Even when we come in and just rant like that, he already knew, I got a perfect one for you guys. Right. And it just so happens, I picked it before I got here. You see? That's when you're in sync. I love it.
Balanzi, send this man a necklace.
Balanzi.
Look at that. Cuban link, same lane. Look it up, make it happen.
What's the code?
Oh, Meth Lab 22. All capital letters, 22, the number. So METHLAB, or Method Lab, Method Lab, METHOD Lab 22. All capital letters with the 22 numbers 22 on the end.
Yes.
Go to BelanziJewelry.com or Belanzi.com. You can follow them on IG as well. Make sure you use the code and you get 20% off of your purchase. Yeah, that's for rings, bracelets, necklaces like this, and other charms and stuff that they have. So.
I got some watch companies throwing info our way, so hopefully we'll get some watches in here soon. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the show. Yet again, this has been a thrilling and a very good conversation on Chronicles Wednesday Chronicles here at HiddenHeartRadio.com. Make sure you go like the page. Make sure you take advantage of our March Madness, and make sure you come back and listen to all of our programming that we got here. So yes. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. We are out.
For Hump Day Chronicles.
Later.
The METHOD Lab.
Do you look to maximize your exposure on digital platforms? Are you a creative or business looking to increase your subscribers and client base? HiddenHeartRadio.com is the platform for you. Take advantage of our March Madness sale. Get 60 commercial ads for $200. Advertise your brand. For all your advertising needs from the pulse of the city, HiddenHeartRadio.com. For more information or to get involved, call 414-502-7808. That number again is 414-502-7808.